Hey, how's it going? So I'm going to be talking about parables and why I I see it as the reason why Jesus used it as his main mode of operation of teaching and how he used it effectively. Because when he was teaching and preaching and doing his stuff, he was actually against certain people of the church, which were the Pharisees and the Sadducees and things like that. So the people of religious authority. And through this, some of them, when he was telling them stuff like about God, some of them just said, "Ah, no, this dude, what he's doing and everything he's doing is off the devil." And he got so mad that he told them a fact that you can diss me, you can diss God, but the moment you diss the Holy Spirit, you will not be forgiven of your sin, which is blasphemy against the Holy Spirit, which is an aspect of non-belief or not seeing the Holy Spirit, which is not seeing the whole Spirit, or saying that there is no God, basically saying that yeah, trees grow because I'm awesome, or just the denial of nature or natural, or the denial of your own existence. How did you come about? Just like how everything is created through causality, there's a cause and then there's an effect. So every time you have a child, it means that there are parents involved. So if you see a baby in the streets, in our world and through our universal laws, you're going to realize that this baby has parents somewhere, and you're going to first of all ask where the parents are, because we live in a causality universe. The cause is the sperm and the egg, the effect is a child. The same way that we have a spiritual nativity. So we also have to realize that there is the Holy Spirit, which is the spirit we have, the whole spirit that we have, which creates the plants, the birds, the trees, everything. So this is our Holy Spirit, and not acknowledging it is what he was calling blaspheming it or something like that, which is actually using it, or using it in a different way, or not acknowledging love or truth or creation and everything that we have in this world. So after that, he started teaching in parables. So a parable is interesting in the sense that it is something that says something but doesn't say the thing that it's saying, even though it says something better than saying the thing directly. So it would have been better for me to use a parable to explain what a parable is. So a parable is an analogy. A parable is a tool. A parable is something that you say in parallel to something, and when two lines are parallel, it means that they never meet, like two lines on a railway track. They are parallel lines, which means that they never meet, and through this they work together and they form this motion. So a parable intrinsically is something that is a different paradigm. Parable is a paradigm, which is a different side or a shift in perspective or perspection. So when he was speaking in parables, what he was doing was saying the same thing in a different paradigm, shifting paradigms or a way of thinking. This is the analogy. This is the parallel, because he would say something is like something and mean that it's something else. So my favorite parable is the parable of the sower. The sower had so many seeds. Some of the seeds fell on good ground. Some of them fell on the rocky ground. Some of them were eaten by birds. Some of them were choked by thorns. But all of these seeds were planted. And this is a depiction of the story of the Pareto principle, which is the law of averages, which is how the distribution is recorded. This is the same thing, and this is the parable, which applies through everything. So if you're not clear with the Pareto principle, just look it up, and then just get to know the Pareto principle, because it's one of the most important things that I've learned in my life. And this is in a parable, and this is explained through different ways and means. So the parable of the sower is explained, but through this, he was fulfilling a prophecy by Isaiah that said that even though the people see, they don't see. Even though the people hear, they don't hear. So this is what we still have, that even though someone might say something, they don't hear it. This is how Jesus was opening the eyes of the blind. because people can see but they can't see, and they can hear but they can't hear. He was opening the ears of the deaf. He was making the people who talk but don't say anything that makes sense. He was opening their mouths. Even though they can talk, they can't say anything. So this is what was happening. So this is actually a paradigm in the Bible. This is a paradigm. This is what I'm talking about. The whole prophecy is a parable, because the eyes that were opened were already blinking and looking at things. They could already identify certain things, but these eyes could not see. So all of these were happening in parables, in parallel. So when we're talking about this, we're talking about a different paradigm. We're talking about a different paradise. We're talking about a different pair of eyes, like how you are able to see things in a fourth dimension. So when you're looking at a different dimension, then there is going to be a paradox. So there are always these paradoxes. So this parable would have certain paradoxes. For example, to him who has, more will be given. To him who has little, even what he has will be taken away. This is parabolic. All right? This is parallel. This is a paradox. How come the people who have are getting more? It doesn't seem fair. It's a paradox. So all of these parables have these paradoxes in them. So this is why sometimes something that is profound would have so much bipolar paradoxes. So this is the paradigm we're in. And you have to understand that life itself is a parable, or it's a paradigm. It's parallel, because we're living on earth as it is in heaven. So our lives are in parallel to heaven. This is a paradox, because in paradise, which is where the Garden of Eden was, this is a matrix where man and God met, or mated, not in like a carnal way, but this was how they were mates or friends, and that was paradise. But in a paradox, in this world, we have a paradox because we have a paradigm, because we lost our paradise. So when we have this parable teaching through Jesus, he's actually telling us about paradoxes, things that are reconciled in a different dimension, a different way of thinking, a different shape of thought, different thought habits. So this is the power of those parables, because through this you're able to gain multiple meanings, better than him just saying that, hey, sometimes when you do things, they work out, sometimes they don't work out. This was the meaning of the parable of the sower. But now you can apply it to Pareto principles. You can apply it to life, and it's very powerful. So all of the parables, or all of the paradoxes, are paradoxic just because they are in a different dimension, not because they are not true. Because the truth is freedom, the truth is stranger than fiction, the truth is knowledge, and that's the true knowledge which has the power to free you. To be free is to leave the third dimension, because in the third dimension you're trapped in this three movements. You just go up, sideways, and down, and back. Go up, sideways, back. Like, you can't go in and out. Going in and out is being free. Going in and out is the fourth dimension, the fourth movement. So this is the parable, or the paradox, the parallel, because Jesus was in a parallel realm. So he came to tell us parables that were paradoxes about that paradise in the heavens. So this was the understanding of these parables, and how they actually applied, because they are just right next to us. Like, they explain everything in a higher sense, in a different sense, in a paradoxic sense, because we can't see the paradise, but it's a paradox in itself, that it's real without being real, because it's a paradox. It's real that it's there, but it's not really there, because it's not in this realm or realm, because it's in a different reality, a different realm, a different reel. So it's a different reel, just like a movie reel. You see it in a different aspect. This is a different paradise, pair of eyes. It's a different reel. And we have a different reel too, a different realm. And this is what we got. So yeah, just understand those paradoxes, that they're at the fourth dimension. They have a different movement, and they're parallel. They're bound to be paradoxic. But being paradoxic is very important, because that is the paradise. That is the paradigm. So it's a paradigm shift.